Hello and welcome to Talk of the Townsends. I'm Benedict Townsend.
And I will be Hannah Townsend.
Oh, when will you be Hannah Townsend?
Right here.
Right now. In 2025. Happy New Year, everybody.
We're back, baby. We're hitting off 2025 how we mean to go on.
Yes, which is podcasting constantly. And I want to come in hot with the topic for you, Hannah. And Suki is here with us, and I realise she's very distracting.
Sorry.
But if we could keep our eyes vaguely on the prize.
She's so sweet.
She's
taking
very
up the whole
cute.
sofa. Okay, yeah, go. What's the prize?
Oh, we haven't... Sorry, actually, before we start, we haven't done the obligatory description of our setup. We're still on the sofa from last time, but now there is also a cat.
And she's just, honestly, she is taking up all of my seat, but she's so sweet. Anyway, no, what are we coming in hot?
Is it rude when someone hands you their phone to adjust their brightness? Because I think it's really rude.
Do you?
And people do it to me all the time.
Because you have your phone on the lowest brightness. I don't know how you see a thing.
Here's the thing. I don't like having my phone at full brightness for two reasons. One, sometimes it's just a bit too much. Two, if I'm in a public space, I don't want people looking at my phone, like reading my messages and stuff. So I turn the
do you want to read your messages?
I have the keen eyes of a hawk, so I'm fine. So I put the brightness down to like half, whatever.
No, yours is always lower than half. I'm amazed you can see anything out of it.
I have mine low, and people, again, you, but also like friends of mine, will, if I hand them my phone to show them like a hilarious meme or a video or something, they will, without thinking, just go in and adjust my brightness and put it up. And I think that's a little bit personal. I don't think you can change the settings on someone else's phone.
You're not changing the settings.
It's just the brightness setting.
They're changing it in order to be able to see the thing you are showing them. I think there's a difference between like going into their personal settings and changing their ringtone, for example.
What is this, 2003? Who's got a ringtone?
The second you hand me your phone, I need to change the brightness or I will not be able to see it. I can't see anything. My phone is always on max brightness. Max brightness. I want to be able to see things in their full colour.
Wow.
I want other people to be able to see my phone. I just want the full clarity.
I just think, like, you know, when you hand someone your phone, not like you, but like a friend or family member, there is that slight antsy feeling you get when you give someone your phone. Do you know what I mean? Not that you think they're going to see something bad or whatever, but just because, like, unfortunately in our modern world, our phones are so personal and so attached to us that I do think when you hand someone your phone, there's a bit of a, do you not get that? Like a bit of an itchiness of like, oh, that's my phone. Like that's like part of me and I've lost it. And so when you give someone your, do you agree or disagree with that?
I agree to an extent. I more, when I hand someone my phone, if we're like out in public, I'm like, oh goodness, are they going to get it robbed?
Oh, do you think?
Yeah.
Well, that's another thing. The thieves can't even see my phone.
Well, exactly. Yours is in the dark.
Exactly. I'm using Batman tactics.
You find it rude.
I think it's a little rude.
Do you?
I think it's a little bit uncouth.
But do you not think it's rude of you to hand a phone to someone and it's pitch black and you say, isn't this meme hilarious? And they say, what meme?
If I invite you into my house and it's a little dark and you put the big light on
Fair.
when I had it off,
Outrageous.
is that not rude?
That's not allowed.
You say your house is so dark, I'm going to put the big light on.
Big light.
That's rude.
That is rude.
And
Fair.
is there there's two big lights in my life. One is obviously my phone, and the other, Jesus Christ, and also known as God.
God. Yeah, I guess so. Do you count your home as your phone as your home?
Yeah.
Yeah.
E.T. phone home. That's what he was talking about.
Yes, fair.
He was saying, my phone is my home. That's what that movie was about. How about this? You hand me your phone. What would you consider rude for me to adjust? Obviously, something like the ringtone is like extreme. But what's like a quick setting that you'd think would be rude for me to adjust?
Is there anything else but brightness, volume? I don't find it rude. I want you to feel welcome in my phone. Come on in.
Right. Well, that's very nice of you.
Is it Netflix? Come on in. Who's come on in?
I don't know. Who is come on in?
Whose tagline is come on in?
Not Netflix. Netflix's tagline is doo-doom.
No, come on in.
I'd stop saying come on in. I don't know. Whose tagline is that?
I think it's Netflix. Come on in.
Who is saying come on in? In what context?
Dun-dun. Come on in. There's a brand whose tagline is come on in.
Write on in to the show and let us know who the come on in people are.
And I just think that's like, if you take my phone, I want you to come on in and just make yourself at home.
Speaking of Netflix, should we do a quick Sagoo? We've been watching Squid Game 2.
Duh.
Squid Game 2.
Or say it in Korean.
Exactly. And we've been having, well, some mixed feelings so far.
It's boring.
That's Hannah's big take is that it's boring.
I found it, look, I don't want to watch 3.5 hours before I see the first game. Okay? I wanted action. I wanted kills. I wanted a bit of fun. I guess they did do spoilers, but they did do a kill or two in the first episode. But I just think it's outrageous to make people wait 3.5 hours for the first game. And the problem I find with it is, even when we get to the game, everything is slow. I feel like we are moving in slow motion.
I guess there's two kinds of viewers of Squid Game. There's people who enjoy the pitch perfect satire of modern capitalism and the skewering of our systems. And then there's the people who go, I want to see some blood, damn it.
Yeah.
And I think, unfortunately, I do fall more into the latter category sometimes than the first. Because the thing is, like, I do get that they're like, we can't just do Squid Game again, right?
But they are doing it again.
Yeah.
That's the thing. They're doing the exact same thing. You know, we are going to talk spoilers. They're doing the exact same thing where the guy is hiding in there and he is the main guy. It's the same. It was the same first game. It's the same.
We're going to do some mild spoilers. We've not finished it yet. Skip ahead like 3 minutes in the podcast if you don't want to hear spoilers.
It's the same game, okay? So let's just have fun with it. Let's make it fun. And the games have been really good, but the setup and even before, like the voting system.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, an hour for the vote. Who cares?
Well,
it's also the boring thing about this Squid Game 2 is that we know the game has to continue, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, there is going to be no series.
Can we just contextualize this? So the new thing they've added for this series is that the players can, after each game, can all vote whether to continue or to go home.
Right.
And this voting process takes up sometimes entire episodes, and it's not interesting to watch, I think.
It's not interesting to watch. We know they have to continue. We also know that this group of people, they were traumatized from that second game where they were shaking and crying and they were all stepping on the blood, blah, blah, blah. The majority vote is not going to vote. Yeah, these people are in debt, okay? Yeah. You know that TikTok that was like, debt is just numbers on a screen, rack it up.
Sure.
Like, it's just numbers on a computer. Like,
well, some of these people have like life-threatening debt. But the thing is, I agree with you of like, the show keeps trying to emphasize of like, these people really need money. And it's like, yeah, but I still think a majority of people would rather not
go
die.
through. Yeah.
Because that was the clever thing about season 1 is that once you were in the game, you were stuck.
Yes.
And so you're like, the reason people keep going is because they have no choice.
Yeah, of course.
The second, I know, and again, I know it feels a bit silly to be nitpicking this show, which is very heightened and a little bit like, you know, you could say, would this game really exist at all? Sure. But it has to exist within the logic of its own universe.
Well, exactly.
And it's very hard to watch these people do these death games and then be like, actually, I love money so much, I'm going to just keep doing them. Like, the fact there'll be enough of them, yes, I find quite hard to buy.
The majority vote, I agree. I think even if it was like, if only one person wants to continue, then we have to continue. I think that
or a 2/3 majority or something.
No, I honestly think everyone has to decide to end the game.
Yeah.
That is easier. And then, okay, you could have one nutter, the guy who keeps taking drugs. He's the one who keeps wanting to go, or the guy who's the plant in it.
Yeah.
He keeps going, but it does not make sense. And I don't want to watch an hour of people voting.
No.
So I know what... It's like a bit like we made a video about this, about talking a little bit about Squid Game, where you made a really good point that like in writing, it's not interesting for us to find out something we already know.
You don't want the characters discovering information the audience already knows, unless there's some kind of like dramatic irony to that. You know, sometimes you know something the characters don't, and that adds like a real tension of like, oh my God, don't go in there. I know there's a monster in there or whatever. But in this, it was like, just to repeat what I said in that video, it's like, we already know Squid Game exists. So it's not interesting to watch other people be like, wait, it is real.
Yeah.
You know, we already know that the main guy isn't lying. So it's not interesting to watch people be like, is he telling the truth? Because it's like, we know, I don't know. It's just, and also now in hindsight, having spent those, when Hannah says 3 hours, she's referring to 3 individual hour-long episodes. Now that those episodes are behind us, I'm like, not enough happened in those episodes to justify that much time and setup, because all they really did was just like get him back in the game. But they could have done that in one episode.
The problem is when the drama and the games get going, it's really good. It's good telly. Like we were saying that with we've just watched the part where it's like the circus and it's called Mingle. That is fantastic TV. And you you're good at guessing. You guessed that there would be less doors than there were people.
Yeah.
And at the end, like that was such good telly.
I do think the characters are good this season.
I agree.
I'm invested in all the new characters. It says a lot that they've introduced a whole load of new characters that are all really distinctive and really interesting. And I think and you feel sorry for them. You don't want them to die, you know, or some of them you really do want them to die. Like, I mean, the second he got into the game, the juice just amped way up in terms of it should have begun probably with him in the game and then done flashbacks or something.
Yeah. I don't think we'll be seeing a Squid Game 3.
Well, there is going to be
Is there?
Yeah, they filmed 2 and 3 concurrently. Yeah. Sorry, I should have bet money before you said that. The confidence with which you said that.
It's just not been that good.
First of all, Squid Game was the biggest show in the history of Netflix.
I'd like to see the numbers for this season. I'd
Fine,
like to see it.
But even if they weren't that good, there is no world in which they're not going to make a Squid Game 3.
Well,
the first one had like 500 million. The confidence.
I don't think we'll be seeing.
I bet you.
So we will be seeing a Squid Game 3.
We'll be skiing a Squid Game 3.
All right, fine.
Apparently the season picks up. I'm still into it. I like the characters. I think
When's Squid Game 3 coming out?
I guess next year or the year after. Apparently they filmed them at the same time. I presume this is going to end on some kind of cliffhanger then. I'm into it. I like the characters. You've lost patience with it, but I do understand it because it has lost your patience.
Yeah. Speaking of games, we have this fantastic game that we play when we go into a calendar shop.
Which is often.
Which obviously is a rare occurrence. But there are these little stalls and places that just sell, it's purely sells calendars.
We were at, can I just quickly say this? We were at an outlet place, you know, where there's like loads of different shops, and it was mostly designer shops. And then for some reason, there was just one shop that sold calendars in there. And I turned to Hannah and I was like, its days are numbered.
It was good. It was better in the moment.
Good joke.
It was better in the moment.
I think its days are numbered though. Look crap.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the game you play is you open a calendar and flick midway through, and you guess what from the picture. You guess what the calendar is, because there are some really niche calendars out there. So anyway, in the calendar shop, we found this calendar. It was hot Irish farmers.
Very specific. Do we have to explain to our younger viewers what a calendar is, or is? I was saying to you that I feel like calendars were a big part of my life when I was a child.
Yes, 100%.
Now I guess everyone's got a calendar in their damn smartphone.
Yeah, we don't need it.
But it's really good for crossing off if you're counting down to something.
Yeah, like Christmas.
Yeah, or a big assassination job you got planned.
This little shopping centre we went to also had our least favourite shop in the world. And here's the thing. I hate to talk smack about a business.
God forbid you talk smack about a business.
But I'm going to have to talk smack about a business, and that business is Moss Bros.
Oh my God, those bloody brothers.
If you're...
Moss Bros, it is on site. If I see either of those brothers out, it's a knuckle sandwich.
If you're in your late 20s, early 30s...
Yep.
If you're in your late 20s, early 30s, the chances are you are in your wedding era.
Yes.
You are going to weddings, and if you happen to be in the groom's party, the chances are you're hiring suits, okay? And the even higher chances are that those suits will be hired from our arch nemesis, Moss Bros.
Yes. Technically, I suppose Moss Bros, but us in the game, we call it Moss Bros.
Us who have been to a Moss Bros 20,000 times for the same order because they can't get it right.
They can't do it. Can I just say, there's one reason why everyone goes to Moss Bros. It's because it's like, where else is there? Where you can hire like 12 suits.
Yeah, if we can hire 12 suits from you and it's not Moss Bros, get in touch, okay? Because the problem with Moss Bros is they have these massive touchscreen computers.
They're like NASA supercomputers, but from the 60s. And they're enormous, and none of them know how to work them. You'll go like...
They're touchscreen.
Yeah, they'll be like, you'll go in and you go, hi, can I have a shirt? And they'll be like, oh, beep, 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 beep. It's like a cartoon. They're like, it's like steam coming off it, like, by my calculations. And then they'll just be like, no.
No. We've had many issues with Moss Bros, our arch nemesis Moss Bros, over the years. But when we got married, we made a booking. We checked the booking online. The booking was incorrect, okay? The shirts had the wrong collar.
By the way, the booking was like normal suits with like black suits with shirts.
Yes.
Bread and butter for Moss Bros. We weren't ordering like disco suits.
No, and they'd done these little winged collars and we were like, we don't want the winged collars. We rang up. I kept ringing up. They were like, Mrs. Davies. I was Miss Davies at the time. That has been changed for you. We were like, oh my God, fantastic. We would then go into store to double check and they would say, no, you've still got the winged the wing collars, and
There we go. And we have no record of you ever changing it.
Yeah.
I don't want us to seem like divas of like, well, I didn't get what I want. But at times you would go in, talk to someone and be like, and again, I'm asking for like a white shirt.
Yeah.
And they go, sure thing. And then you come back 2 days later, same person. And they'd be like, yeah, there's no record of that. And I'm like, I remember talking to you about this.
I can't tell you how many hours of our lives we spent in Moss Bros just trying to change the most simple booking. I have wasted days of my life. My mum and dad have wasted days of their life. One simple booking. We didn't want the shirts winged. So anyway,
I don't think I've ever done one activity for as long as I did that with Moss Bros. It was the biggest stress in our wedding was just trying to get a few suits.
Whenever we walk past a Moss Bros, our arch nemesis, we always laugh to ourselves.
Which is quite funny, actually, is that the reason I went with Moss Bros is because my friend who got married before me, he did Moss Bros, and he actually had a nightmare with it too. And then my other friend who just got married, he did it because we did it, and he also had a nightmare where all the trousers were wrong. And it's like, why do we all keep doing it? It's because there's no alternative. Unless you want to go to Savile Row.
Well, exactly. They do a nice suit. I will say the suits did look lovely.
When they come eventually. Anyway, if you're an entrepreneur, there's a gap in the market for a suit rental place where you can rent suits.
So we went away for my birthday, which was very lovely. We stayed in a little treetop cabin. It was very cool. It was absolutely stunning. English countryside. Kent, honestly, I feel like Kent is going to be the new Cotswolds.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful part of the world.
It's gorgeous.
And it's blooming huge.
It is huge.
Kent's huge. We drove for an hour and we were still in Kent.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Crazy.
Kent, believe it.
This is just a video of a couple of Londoners discovering Kent, the large area of the country known as Kent.
But we were driving past a place in Kent for New Year's Eve and we were looking at the New Year's Eve options.
Yes. What was it? It was like a little garden.
It was a little
very
garden
small
centre.
place. But they had a children's New Year's Eve disco, which I
Wow.
suggested we go to. But also they had alpacas, right? And it's like, you know when a place has like one thing and they're like, we're going to make the most out of this thing.
Yeah.
So I looked through their website because we were looking to see if we could have lunch there. And it was like alpaca meet and greet, hang out with the alpacas, alpaca tour. It was like New Year's Eve disco featuring alpaca meet and greet. It's like, we get it. You have alpacas.
Calling meeting an alpaca or like getting to stroke an alpaca meet and greet.
That is really funny.
So funny to me. We were chuckling about it the whole way home in the car. An alpaca meet and greet, like it's some sort of like famous, like they're going to sign stuff.
You haven't just met the alpaca.
No.
You've been gret by the alpaca. I'd love to be like greeted by an alpaca.
Yeah, I don't want to just be met.
No.
I'm going to need to be gret.
I need a photo. I need a short conversation.
Yeah.
Maybe an autograph.
The alpaca meet and greet. Please, can you title this episode? Would it be 21?
Episode 21.
The alpaca meet and greet.
Sure. There is a Netflix show. It's a very Netflix heavy episode, this. There is a Netflix show called I Am a Killer, right? It's a really well-made, informative show where they interview real people who have killed and are now in prison. But this show has a secret second purpose, which is this show will send Hannah Townsend to sleep in, I want to say, 6 seconds. It is like a drug for you.
I know.
It's very unexpected. I think it's because it has a very low-key vibe. It has this kind of very minimalist,
He
subtle...
grew up in the south of his.
Yeah, it's not like a kind of like, dramatic true crime thing where
Yeah.
it's like, duh-duh-duh. It's like very like low-key. Like,
He stabbed him. It's more like he killed
well, it's mostly
him.
people talking about themselves, isn't it? So it's like, I grew up in a tough neighborhood.
Yeah.
And the music would be like, doo, doo. And then the color is very muted. It's a very low-key show.
It sends me to sleep.
And Hannah just drifts. I've never seen anyone go to sleep as fast as you do when I Am a Killer is on. No offense to the creators.
Yeah, Land of Nod. Yeah, it's a long form storytelling that's just all quite quiet, even though it's about death.
Yeah, I guess it's like a bedtime story for you.
Yeah,
Like a dark one.
like a dark one.
I don't know if there's anything that puts me to sleep.
Yeah, you will stay up no matter what, like, and finish the thing we're watching. Whereas, like, I feel quite comforted by sound of something. Like,
Well, that's because you don't have to. I have to stay up to turn it off.
I find it hard to, like, when we're in bed and it's like pitch silence. I find it hard to go to sleep.
I am a person who always has to finish stuff. I find it very hard. Like, I don't think I've ever not finished a book I've read. And sometimes you really hate the book and it's a bit of a slog. Or like I really, really hate not finishing movies.
You do. You stayed for that terrible movie with Adam Driver and the doll.
Annette, is it?
Annette. That was...
You know, some people love that movie.
That was ranked as one of the worst films I've ever seen. Me and my mum went and sat outside and waited for Benedict. That's how bad it was. We were like, we think we're just going to go and get hot chocolate. And you were like, okay, I think I'm going to stay. And I was like, I can't believe he's still in that film.
I know. I always
hated it. That's the only film I've ever walked out on. I was like, this is so bad.
I'm trying to think if I've ever left a movie midway through.
Yeah, we were in a theatre and I left.
I remember seeing Disaster Movie. Do you remember when they did all those like scary movie clones? There was like Disaster Movie, superhero movie, like the, you know, parody ones. Disaster Movie, I think, is often held up as the absolute worst one of those. I remember being like 13 or whatever in the cinema and watching that and thinking like, I'm actually like wasting my life watching this. It was so bad, but I still think I finished it.
This year, our plan is to watch every single Oscar-nominated movie ahead of the Oscars.
Sorry, that was my plan, which you've now stolen.
Well, I want to be part of the plan.
Well,
Let me be part of the plan.
yeah, I'll think about it, kid.
We've watched quite a good selection of them. The one we haven't watched is the animated category. We are low on the animated category, but we've watched Inside Out 2. Obviously, that are not actually released yet, but there's some,
the noms aren't out just yet. But I find the reason I decided this is that every year I always think I'm up on the movies. You know, I've seen everything. And then they always nominate a bunch of movies right at the last minute, none of which are released in the UK. You know, like everyone's talking about Anora, but you can't watch that in the cinema for love nor money at the moment.
Anora was very hard. It's very hard to see. It's like Tuesday at 2 p.m.
Yeah, it's so hard to see Anora.
Once a week.
And you know, this is from The Brutalist. Like these, and everyone's like, these are the Oscar-winning movies. It's like, well, great. It'd be great if anyone could see them. But they do it every year. And this year, I'm not getting tricked. I'm going to see them all.
I'm going to see them all.
And I'm going to walk out of every single one of them.
Don't they usually do a 2024 joke of the year?
Do they?
I think so.
They do a joke of the year every year at the Edinburgh Fringe. And it's always a terrible joke.
I know. Well, it's hard to... A joke out of context is very hard to land.
I will say, having been to the Fringe now as a performer, I've been twice. Once as punter, once performing. Having been... It is a bit crazy to pick a joke of the year because most people don't have normal jokes in their acts.
Yes, exactly. It's part of a much larger selection of things. People don't just do one-liners.
Exactly. And the ones they do have to be like clean and like easy to understand because it's going to be in the paper. So it can't be rude. So it always ends up being like, you know, what's a polar bear's favorite type of ball? A snowball. It's always stuff like that.
Bad.
They're like cracker jokes a lot of the time. I'd love to be on Traitors. I'm putting it out there right now. Put me on Traitors.
I applied. You didn't even apply.
Hannah actually applied.
I applied. I did the video.
Yeah, but I, like a traitor, didn't even bother. I'd love to be on Traitors, but
they wouldn't have us.
They would maybe have us.
I don't think so. I think they're looking for like...
Have they got a level that's above celebrity traitors? Because we could go on that maybe.
I think they aren't looking for people who make social stuff. Which is fine.
I think they might be looking for a little bit of that because, you know, they add a little bit of
pizzazz,
if you will. I would love to be on Traitors, but the problem with being on Traitors is it's probably one of the absolute best shows to be on in terms of like, you're not having to eat bugs or, you know, the only inconvenience is that you might leave night one, which would suck. It would suck so bad to leave night one.
Because the fun is being in the game. Like, it's so fun to play.
Also, it does suck a little bit that you don't get to stay in that castle. That's a spoiler, I guess, but they stay in like a little travel lodge down the road. They don't sleep in that castle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you don't get to do that. But you do get to hang out in the castle all day. I think it's by far the best show to be on as just like a moment-to-moment experience.
Yeah.
And for me...
Although I think the stress levels of people in there, like, is so sky high. Like, people just seem very like pent up. If all everyone wants to talk about is like tactics and blah 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 and blah blah, and you're like, can we not just have a chat?
Yeah, and also that thing of like, it does suck when a faithful makes a genuine mistake and then everyone's on them.
Yeah.
Oh my god! And it's always something really dumb where they accidentally say the word traitor and they're like, that's what a traitor would do, and it's like, no, it isn't. A traitor wouldn't be that careless.
What was that thing where they were coming out of the water and he was like, I'll kill you tonight or something, but he wasn't a traitor.
He was like, I'll kill you for that or whatever.
Yeah, and they were like, he said he would kill me tonight. That's something quite smart to do, to throw someone under the bus and be like, she said this to me, and it just be absolute lies.
Yeah.
Quite fun to play with fire in that way.
Although if you keep doing that, they keep turning out to be faithfuls. Everyone's a bit like,
That's the thing. I can't wait for them to feed. I remember the first time, a high like no other, watching, it was Wilf, he fed someone. It was, what was her name? They fed that girl, I can picture her face, to the lion's den. She was a traitor.
Oh, yeah.
When they offer them up. And then they're like, Will found the traitor. Amazing. We all love Will.
Yeah, and he was like a traitor hunter. Truly. That is the best part of the show, is when the traitors start cannibalizing.
Turn on each other. Because at some point they have to get a traitor.
So good. I cannot wait for more traitors.
In terms of TV, we have been rewatching Motherland.
Oh, Motherland is unbelievably good.
Glorious British comedy telly.
I think very underrated, Motherland.
Very underrated.
It's like one of the best sitcoms of the last 10 years or whatever.
One of the best theme tunes. When those trumpets? Sax?
I guess so. It's like a brass band, yeah.
But what's leading that beat?
Like a trumpet, I guess, or a trombone.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's important we get that right. It's such a good show. Everyone in it is so good.
So good.
But it's, I'm not going to say especially, because everyone is good in their own way, but watching Anna Maxwell Martin just get so stressed is one of my favorite joys in life.
She's one of those people who you genuinely cannot imagine her any other way. I imagine that she is that woman. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, she's just so natural at it.
I just can't imagine her being like a fun, easygoing person. I'm like, she is a stressed out lady.
I've seen if you watch interviews with her and stuff, she's really funny.
I imagine she is. I mean, she's such a good comedic actor. Like, it's Christmas Eve, Jeff. Nobody eats on Christmas Eve. Peel an orange, crack a nut.
Crack a nut. Christmas Eve, Jeff.
It's the way her delivery of things is so I can't be someone's maid for a week. I mean, maybe a Sunday in 2 weeks' time, we could pencil it. It would be a light pencil.
A very light pencil. It's that, classic acting thing of like, you never play the emotion. You always play like holding back the emotions. You don't cry. You play a person trying not to cry.
Yes.
She is so good at playing someone who is trying not to be angry.
She's trying to be...
Like, it's always just under the surface, just boiling up.
Yeah.
She's just trying to hold it together. Like, she very rarely like genuinely snaps.
Yes.
She's always just so close to snapping, and it's just Christmas Eve, Jeff.
It's Christmas Eve, Jeff.
She doesn't go, it's Christmas Eve, Jeff. She goes, Christmas Eve, Jeff, because she's trying to be friendly. It's so good. Obviously, Lucy Punch is unbelievable. Born to play that role. Diane Morgan. All of them are just like so good in their roles.
Hebatiga, what's it called?
Hegatiga, yeah.
So funny because it's just so believable as, obviously they're all kind of caricatures of people, but like very believable as a woman who would start a business and it would be called that. And it would just sell like little things. Oh, just such a fantastic show. So funny.
It's that classic modern social media thing of like, I can't tell if there's a resurgence of love for Motherland or if I've just started interacting with Motherland content, so now I'm being fed it all the time on my feed. It's probably the latter, isn't it? But
it's just anyone in a puffer jacket is immediately Julia.
Yeah.
And there's a girl who went viral who lives in the Motherland house.
Really?
Yeah, she's like, what it's like to live in the Motherland house. I guess that they just have a normal house that they rent out and use.
Yeah, because it looks like they actually do film in a house. It doesn't look like a set of a house. Oh, Suki's been here the whole time. She's been so well behaved. She hasn't stepped on the monster button once.
She's been fantastic.
She's so tired.
All right, well, we've got some pasta. Cooker looking.
Oh, I can't wait.
And I am so hungry.
I could eat this microphone. I'm so hungry. I'm Benedict Townsend.
And I have been Hannah Townsend.
Thank you for listening to Talk of the Townsends. Make sure to follow to get latest episodes, and we'll see you on the internet.
Bye.